This video is going to go over the second responsive nav demo for Web Design 2. Once you're in the Web 2 Blackboard course, click on the Demos link and then scroll down to the responsive navigation. We've already done responsive nav 1 with starting files 1, and now we're going to download starting files 2. So I'm going to right click on starting files 2 and choose Save Link As. And I am going to find my Web 2 folder, Demos, and I'm going to save it in here. Then I'm going to go inside of my Web 2 folder, and I am going to find the nav2 with jQuery demo start zip file and double click it to extract it. And then I can go ahead and delete the zip file, and I am going to open up the index in a browser window. Okay, so we have a couple of things going on there. Let's go ahead and get this open up in a code editor and we'll look at all of the code. So I'm going to be using Atom, but as always you can use Dreamweaver or any other code editing software. Okay, double click these files to open them, go up to View, toggle soft wrap, and then I will do the same thing with CSS, and then go up and choose View, toggle soft wrap. Okay, and then I'm going to hide this panel because I don't need it right now. Make this a little bit wider so you can see it better. Okay, great. So we have an A tag that has our menu in it, and it does have the href just with the pound sign to act as a dummy link so we can see the menu right up here. And then it has an ID on it, and we're going to put an ID on it this time because it's going to need to interact with something called jQuery. Now jQuery is similar to JavaScript in that it is and does allow for interactive properties on a website. So it's kind of how you can do some things that look like animation and other more advanced features that you don't get with HTML and CSS. So we also have the mobile nav, and this time the mobile nav is at the top, and we also have the desktop nav. So you'll see the mobile nav here and the desktop nav. So what I've done ahead of time is I've gone in and styled them to look the way that I wanted them to. So I put the desktop nav going side by side and the mobile nav is stacked because that makes more sense for the nature that they would be shown in. So the first thing that I want to do is go in and hide the mobile nav and desktop nav because in this case I don't want them to be displayed. So I am going to go into my CSS. I am going to scroll down, and I want this to happen before the media query. So I'm going to style pound mobile hyphen nav, comma, pound desktop hyphen nav. Now the reason I'm putting the comma in there is because I want both of them to look exactly the same in this case. And how do I want them to look? Well, I want them to not be visible. So I want them to be hidden from the beginning. So I'm going to save and refresh, and this is what I want because the idea is that you should click on the menu and then see the mobile nav, and then whenever the page gets wider, they'll go away and the desktop nav is there. Okay, so a couple things that we have to do first. We need to set up jQuery. Now, I don't have anywhere in my file management for jQuery to be set up, so I need to do that. So what I'm going to do is I am going to right-click on my root folder, and I'm going to say New Folder, and I am going to make this say JS, or you can say Script. That would work also. So I want to make sure I have a new folder inside of there. And then I'm also going to make a new file in here, and I'm going to right click and choose New File. Now if you're in Atom, it's going to appear like this. If you're in Dreamweaver, then it probably just showed you the file name over here. Make sure if you're in Dreamweaver, you need to hit Command or Control A to select all, and then write out the file name, which is going to be script.js. Right? You cannot let it be named with an HTML extension. All right, so we will call it script.js. So again, if you had Dreamweaver, and if you didn't do it right the first time, you have to delete the file and remake it. Make the new file, but before it even gets named, hit Command or Control A to select the entire name, and then just type in script.js as you see it here on my screen. and then hit enter or return. All right, so we've got the script file, and we are going to be doing something with that in a few minutes, but that just kind of set it up. All right, let's go back to Blackboard for a minute, and we are going to need this jQuery link. So let's click on that. So whenever you use jQuery, in a lot of instances, whenever you're working with jQuery, there's actually a library of code that you need to download that jQuery kind of references. So it's kind of like this common knowledge that a lot of code is written off of, and it needs this file. You're not going to do anything with it other than download it, put it in the JS folder, and then link to it. So let's click on this download jQuery button. And we can usually go with the top one, and depending on when you're watching this video, the numbers might be a little bit different, but you can go with the top one that is compressed. So I'm going to right click on this link and choose Save Link As, and then I want to put it, like so, make sure that you're inside of Web 2 Demos. I want to put it inside the nav2 with jQuery JS. To make life a little bit easier for me, I'm also going to highlight this file name and copy it. If it doesn't let you do that right now, it's fine. You just will have to type in the name on your own later, which is, it's not that big of a deal. All right, but just to make it easier for me now, I just highlighted this all and then hit Command or Control C to copy. I'm going to hit save. All right, don't close this file because we will use it again. So let's go back to our index page, and we're going to link to that JS file that we just downloaded, which should be right there, that one right there. We are going to link to that in our HTML document. So it can be anywhere in here as long as it is between the head tags. So I'm going to do left caret script space src equals quote, and it should be JS slash, and then here's where I'm going to put the file name. If you're in Dreamweaver, it should let you browse and just find the file. All right, after you do that, you are going to go outside the quote and do the right caret, and then you are going to close the script tag, just like that. All right, perfect. Since we're here, we can also link to the script.js. So that one actually gets linked at the bottom of the page. So let's scroll all the way down right before the body tag closes, and we're going to do the same thing. Left caret script space src, and you are going to call, or you're going to link to this one as js slash script.js, and then do the right caret and then close script. So in this case, with this tag, script is the element, source is the attribute, and this is the value. All right, so I am going to save that, and then I'm going to open up the script.js because we do need to do something here. All right, so let's go back to the jQuery page and let's click on the API documentation. This is where we can get a lot of the base code to work with for jQuery. If you scroll down, you're going to see on the left-hand side an area that says effects, and then the last one under effects says sliding. Click sliding. There's three options. We want slide toggle. And there's going to be a lot of information in here that tells you all about how to use slide toggle and what it is, but this is the part that we really need to pay attention to. So in this example here, what it's trying to demonstrate is that if you click here, this image, this thumbnail image of this book is going to look like it animates until it completely closes. And since this is a toggle, it means that if you click again, it will animate opening up. So toggle just means it's like a light switch. You can turn it on and you can turn it off. You can show it and you can hide it. And in this case, it is going to animate. So here we have a div ID click me with the words click here inside of it. Okay, so that would be this part here. And then it has image ID book with the book file path, alt, and then a few other things. Don't worry about this width and height. You shouldn't put that into your HTML. All right, so here in this jQuery code, this is all that you need, or I should say the last part that you need in order to make this work. So where it says click me, well, that's referring to this ID right here. So it doesn't matter what you call this ID as long as you reference it the same here. We know that it's an ID because of the pound sign here. So it says whenever you click me, make some function happen. So remember, function is a list of rules. What's going to happen? Well, an ID called book, which is the image, is going to do the slide toggle function. The slide toggle, even though we don't tell it what to do, that jQuery library, so this right here, this jQuery library, and I'm going to open it up just to show you. Yeah, all of that. It looks really scary. Don't touch anything inside of it. All of that code is explaining what all of these things should do. Where did my effects go? All right, so we don't have to write all that extra code because someone already did the work for us. So thank you, someone else. All right, so what I need to do is highlight all of this, copy, go to my jQuery and paste, or I should say go to my JS and paste. All right, let me rewind that and kind of do that again. Again, I highlighted all of this text and I copied, so Command or Control C, and then I came into my script.js and then I hit Command or Control V for victory, and that is how you paste. All right, I am going to save this, and then what I want to do is I need to change the click me in the book. So if I go back to the index page and I scroll up to where, whoop, there it is, here, the menu button, so the ID for menu is called menu-button, and then we have mobile nav. So what we want to click on is menu-button, and what we want to do the toggle is mobile-nav. So let's save that. I got this all saved. Let's come in, refresh. I'll make this smaller. And there you have it. It's animating. All right. So the more that you style these and make them look kind of cool and interesting, the better this is going to look overall. All right, so that's great. We kind of got that part done. So the rest of this is just CSS, right? The only thing that was really new was the bit of jQuery there. So I'm going to jump into my CSS, and in the media query, okay, because I have in the mobile view, I have it looking the way that I want. Okay, let's just pretend that I was done styling. You probably should do more than this. So in the media query, what I'm going to do is I'm going to say, okay, the menu button can now go away, right? We don't need it to show, we don't need the menu button in a larger view. So we'll say display : none. So that will make it go away. We need the desktop nav to display because up here we told it not to, but here we need it to show up. So we'll do desktop -nav, and we're going to tell it display, display block. Okay, so we got that saved. Let's save and refresh. All right, so let's change this minimum width. Let's make it 760 so we can actually see it. All right, so I'm going to take the min width and change it to 760. Refresh. Okay, make my page wider, and there we go. Okay, so it goes from the menu to the desktop nav. All right. Well, the other thing that we need to look at, and we have to kind of keep this in mind as user experience goes, what if someone clicks on it and says menu, okay, so now we can see all of our links, and doesn't click on menu again, but makes the page wider? What then? Whoop. Menu went away because we told it to go away, but this didn't go away, or I'm sorry, not this, but this didn't go away, right? This didn't go away. So we need to make sure that we tell this to go away. So let's put in here, we will style this one separate, and we're going to say pound mobile -nav, and we're going to say display none. So we're going to save it and refresh. And let's try it again. Okay, refresh again. Menu. Make the page wider, and what? It's still there. Well, the reason it's still there is because jQuery is telling it to show. We said with jQuery for it to show up. So what we have to do is in CSS, we have to override that. And the way that you can kind of override everything, it's kind of a way of saying, like, listen to me, do what I say, and don't listen to anything else, is right after where it says display none, directly after the E, hit the space bar and type in !important. This is not something that you use to just fix every line of code that you have. If you have to use the important clause too much, then it's probably because you started coding things incorrectly somewhere else. So this is not something that you just start throwing around like confetti. You want to just use it sparingly. All right, so save that. Again, make the page smaller, refresh, menu, make the page wider, and then it goes away. All right, so that little piece in there, you definitely want to make sure that you have, because otherwise you're going to get to menu, or you could possibly get to menus, and that's not good for the user standpoint. All right, so not a ton that you had to do here. A lot of the HTML is already done, and all of this is a review, like you know how to use IDs. You do have to use it as an ID. You could still add a class on here if you wanted to, but there's nothing wrong with having the ID, and then you could even style the ID as menu-button in CSS to make it look a certain way if you wanted to. So none of that was new. The only thing that was new here was the 2 script tags, adding the script files, and then also adding in the jQuery. All right, so hopefully you kind of found that interesting and just another way to do navigation. There are plenty of other different ways to do navigation, but the 2 that we've discussed, so the one last week and this week, are probably some of the more common ones. All right, and that is it. And as always, if you guys have questions, please do not hesitate to ask.